You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Iris Ajibadens. It's been over an hour and a half since the ultimatum by the American government expired at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Tensions on the Latvian-Estonian border, the Polish-Belarusian border, and the Latvian-Russian border are standing on a knife edge. Negotiations have all but broken down, and it seems like there is little that can be done to change the inevitable. However, it has come to the surprise of most experts that NATO forces have not yet begun offensive operations, despite being in position for the last 72 hours. For more on this story, we go to our correspondent in the field near the town of Valka, Connell Reed.
Arissa, I'm standing about 4 kilometers away from the Estonian-Latvian border. Over the past 3 days, I've seen at least 3 dozen M1A1 Abram tanks roll by on the highway leading into the town, along with many soldiers in American uniform. NATO aircraft have been patrolling the skies as well over these 3 days, and on my side are 2 teams of mortars which, if I understand, are capable of firing fuel air bomb sources more than 5 miles away. It should be noted that these shells have the same destructive power as the ones used to destroy parts of Washington, D.C. last year. However, what is most important to note is what's occurring across the border and to Estonia. Lines of T-90 tanks are currently lined up at the border, poised to enter the town, and if the latest reports in Estonia are to be believed, at least 4 infantry divisions are poised to enter the town, along with at least 50 BMPs.
There are concerns that China may get involved in this, should NATO and Russian troops begin to fight. What is your opinion on that?
The general opinion of most experts is that the answer is undeniably no, at least not militarily. Though China still enjoys a somewhat healthy relationship with Russia, it is very unlikely that China would sacrifice its healthy economic relationship with the United States to defend Russia and Estonia, particularly since the United States improved relationships with China for a compromise on the South China Sea negotiated under the broken Llewellyn administrations.
Connell, are there still any diplomatic negotiations in progress?
Arissa, from what I understand, no. Last I heard, the latest negotiations in Monaco abruptly ended after a NATO deal regarding giving Narva the status as a free city was rejected. Russia demanded, in exchange for their withdrawal from Estonia, Russia demanded that NATO withdraw their protection of the Baltic nations, Finland and Poland, effectively giving diplomatic control of Eastern Europe to Russia. Viewing these demands as unacceptable, one NATO ambassador was quoted as saying as he left the meeting, Russia has first invasion of Estonia, and now, through this farce of a peace negotiation, has shown that its ambitions stretch far beyond Narva and Estonia itself. This will not go unnoticed.
Break, copper, this is Calico. Initiate strike on 3-5, Victor Mike, Echo 425-905-95. I repeat, initiate strike on 3-5, Victor Mike, Echo 425-905-95, over.
Wilco, cover 9 out.
Connell, what just happened?
I don't know, but something's definitely going on.
Fire!
Oh, God!
Connell, what's going on?
We have, I repeat, a thermobaric explosion on the Latvian-Estonian border. I'm getting the hell out of here. How the hell did...
Incoming!
Connell, you still there?
Russians have just returned fire with their own thermobaric weapon, and it just exploded half a kilometer in front of me. Half Valka's on fire now. I'm pulling back. I can't believe it. I'm packing up. I'm getting out of here. This is Colonel Reed, BBC, reporting live from Valka, hopefully to return from a safer location.
Okay, we've definitely heard what must be startling news, but we'll try to get back in touch with Connell when and if we can. This is the BBC World Service, and we'll be back with more reports on what is a rapidly developing situation.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
We interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency alert system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air providing news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is WWII. We will continue to serve the Eau Claire area. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency alert system serving the Eau Claire area. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should remain open for emergency use.
Please stand by for a message from the President.
Ladies and gentlemen, it does not please me to announce the following news, but I must do so. Despite our stern warnings and attempts at negotiation, Russia continued to ignore our demands in our ultimatum, and as a result, we have been forced into taking a regrettable and necessary course of action. As of 1:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, after an emergency session of Congress, we are now at war with the Russian Federation. We expect all members under the NATO Charter, in addition to the Estonian government in exile, to immediately declare war with us as well. This, of course, must be shocking news to all involved. I did not want this to pass. I believed that through a peaceful negotiation, a settlement could have been reached. However, it would appear that my efforts have failed. I must apologize to the American people for this. I have failed you, and I can only imagine what you must be thinking now. However, here are some words for thought. Had we allowed Russia to continue to occupy Estonia, we would have essentially been capitulating all of Eastern Europe to a nation that clearly has had no intention of keeping its territorial ambitions to Estonia alone. Yet we must do what we must do, even at the risk of a nuclear conflict. We must be prepared to give our all in order to defend Eastern Europe and to secure peace in a free world, and to defend those whose rights and freedoms have been trampled on. To quote Martin Luther King Jr., "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." We cannot just stand by while other nations have their freedoms removed. That being said, however, here at home, sacrifices will need to be made to reach this goal. Certain peacetime activities that we once enjoyed may need to be curtailed, luxuries we enjoyed will need to be reduced substantially, and we will need to prepare for the worst-case scenario, a full-scale nuclear conflict. This does not mean that this will happen, but we must be prepared for it. To aid in reaching this goal, a rationing system is to be implemented in the coming days, and electricity will only be used for industrial and military purposes from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. In accordance with the Emergency Powers Act of 2021, the following will also be in effect. 1. Some freeways, airports, railways, and seaports will be closed to civilian traffic. 2. Universities and colleges will be closed effectively until further notice and will only remain open in some exceptions. 3. In some areas, normal programming will be suspended from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Finally, all police leaves will be canceled until further notice, and martial law may be declared in the event of civil unrest. However, normal sporting events will be allowed to continue under the second green letter signed earlier this morning, provided that they do not conflict with the Emergency Powers Act of 2021. To prepare for the possibility of a nuclear strike against this country, should it go that far, I must once again urge all Americans to take the following actions. Obtain at least 14 days of non-perishable food and water over the coming days, as well as a first aid kit, a flashlight, a battery-powered radio, and to locate the nearest fallout shelter closest to you. This does not, however, mean you should engage in panic buying. Although the option of evacuation is a possibility as of this moment, you are not required to evacuate if you do not wish to do so. If you wish to stay home, stay. If you wish to evacuate, you may do so, but do so in an orderly manner. To end on one final note, though, I have some things to say to all involved in this tragedy. To my fellow citizens, I must say that I am sorry that it has come to this. Perhaps it is unnecessary to apologize twice, but given what has happened, I too must handle some of the blame. To our allies in Europe, I say that we, the American people, stand with you. We will rise up against this threat together, and we will persevere, even in the face of great odds. To the people of Estonia, I say this: keep up the fight. Though your situation may be desperate, you will be able to embrace freedom again very soon, and be able to embrace peace with your families. Finally, to the Russians, I must say this: though we have been forced into a confrontation, I must ask that for the sake of all non-combatants, that nuclear weapons not be used, and that our own goals are merely to retake Estonia. We have no intention of violating Russia's sovereignty. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
That was a message from the President. We will now return to the emergency alert system.
This concludes operations under the emergency alert system. All normal programming operations may now resume.
Fools. They only seek to hurt themselves.